I'm Montgomery County Auditor Carl Keith, and welcome to another episode of Auds and Ends. Auds and Ends is a program that's produced by the Montgomery County Auditor's Office, and where we spend some time on a monthly basis speaking with a guest from the community, getting to know more about them, and getting to know more about some of the programs and activities that they are involved in the community, and sometimes to learn how we might be able to support some of those programs and also how they impact our lives. And so I'm very happy to have with me today as my guest the Montgomery County Recorder. Stacey Benson-Taylor is here with me, and Stacey and I've known each other a long time, and of course as the County Recorder, she and I work together in the county building. She is one floor above me, right? One floor above me, and we actually some of the people from my office actually share some space on your floor. We call that floor your floor, but we have a few people up there. Anyway, Stacey, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Carl, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Okay, we're going to have a big time because we lots to learn of today. As I was driving here to the studios here at DATV, as I was driving here, I'm coming up Kiowee, and I saw one of your billboards. So we're going to get into one of the billboards to talk about the fraudulent deeds, deed fraud, whatever we're going to talk about that program a little bit, and the other program you have going is
Good Deeds.
Good Deeds. So we're going to talk about those two programs, but first we want to know more about you and how you became County Recorder. You know, if you're like me, I didn't grow up planning on being the county auditor. I doubt that as a little girl you sat around and people asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up? I doubt that you said, I want to be the county recorder, right?
No, that was not on the list of things to do as a child or as a grown-up.
Or as an adult, right?
Right.
So tell me a little bit about your background and how you got here.
So I have been involved in the labor movement for probably close to 30 years. Went to Dayton Christian High School, graduated, ended up going to work at General Motors at the Delphi plant out on Foyer Boulevard, and got involved with the union. Was part of the IUE before they merged with the CWA, worked out there for about 10 years, let's say 9 years.
So would that be IUE 755?
Yes.
755?
Yes, and so I was involved.
My father-in-law was a member of 755.
Okay,
yeah.
Yes. My mom and dad, my dad was a supervisor. My mom worked on the assembly line. Mm-hmm. And so I worked out there while I went to Sinclair and worked on my paralegal degree. Well, actually, I probably could get degrees in several things because I studied accounting and engineering and marketing and all kind of stuff, but ended up in the paralegal program and worked and went to school out there. And once I completed my paralegal degree, I went to work for the public defender's office. I started out as an intern, and I was actually the first intern that they hired at the public defender's office in 1996. Okay. And ended up convincing them that they needed a paralegal on staff. And so I left, General Motors to go work with the county, and have been involved with the county, got involved with AFSCME, which is the union that represents the public employees. And they represented the public defenders at the time. And so I was involved with AFSCME there. Ultimately went to work for the union, went to work for AFSCME, and represented the employees at Montgomery County and the city of Dayton, and quite a few municipalities and school districts around the area, and became a staff rep, then became the regional director. And so had been involved with labor a long time before ultimately landing at the recorder's office.
Well, now you also have a law degree, right?
Yes.
We skipped over that part.
I did.
So you are an attorney. So you were like a staff attorney for AFSCME?
So I was, and so we don't have attorneys at AFSCME. We have what we call staff reps. Okay. And so while I was at the public defender's office, I actually was working and going to school still, and I got my bachelor's degree in political science with a minor in sociology from Wright State, and then went on to the University of Dayton School of Law. And so I got my law degree in 2002. I was in a program the other day, and the young lady said, I graduated, it's like 2022, light years. And I'm like, no, sweetie, that's not light years.
No.
2002 is light years. And so after I got my law degree, I stayed at the public defender's office for a little while, and then went on to work for AFSCME as a staff rep. And so that's what they call us. We don't practice law,
Right.
but we negotiate contracts and discipline and grievances and things of that nature.
So then how long were you at AFSCME then?
So I was at AFSCME 17 years.
Oh my.
17 years. And so
what were some of the highlights of that career? There had to be some highlights.
a lot. I often told people that I didn't watch a certain show on TV with a lady called Olivia Pope because she had a script and I didn't have a script.
No,
My
no.
day-to-day life was jumping in and solving problems. And so helping when there was an issue of work, a labor management issue where there was a disagreement between employees and managers, negotiating contracts for wages and health insurance and benefits, and also just trying to make better work environments for employees and management. There was an era where the union was looked at as, they would go into places and I'd say break down the doors and, force themselves into situations.
You weren't a union thug?
They call me a union thug sometimes, yes.
Okay.
But, I came in an era where we had a cooperative relationship. And so I had good relationships with a lot of the leaders around the community, whether it was commissioners, whether it was county administrators. I worked with them to solve problems and create better work environments, not just for the employees, but for managers, because the only, I always said the only thing that we have, we don't have a refrigerator to sell, we don't have a stove, we don't have a car. As county and city and government employees, all we have to give people is our service. And so to me, in order for us to properly serve the community, we had to have a cooperative relationship. And that was always the way that I worked with the different political entities and government agencies that I worked with as a union rep.
I can remember as county auditor, I've sat in on some of those meetings with you on discussing some work-related issues,
Yes.
not necessarily with the auditor's office, but with the county as a whole.
Right.
It's probably maybe the first time we ever met.
Yes.
Was in one of those
Yes.
meetings, you know.
Yes.
So, but anyway, that I'm sure was a very involved career, and you were probably. As an attorney, you probably dreamed that might be what you'd be doing the rest of your life, right? And then you became county recorder. Or
Yes.
you went to the recorder's office. So let's talk about
Yes.
that, how your trail there.
Yes. So I did think that I would be on the union trail and representing employees. And in 2021, Mayor Jeffrey Mims called and asked would I be interested in running for city commission. Mm-hmm. And I had thought maybe once my career with AFSCME ended and I had did my 20, 25, however many years, mm-hmm. that maybe I would look into public service and coming from a different angle. And so he asked the question, and the first time, and this happened like within a 1 week period. So the question was posed on a Monday, not by Mayor Mims, but by a few other people. And I was like, I don't know who you're going to get to do this, but I'm not running for city commission. And then Mayor Mims called. And I remember saying to him, well, I'd have to leave my job. And then I remember saying, who said that? Who said that I was going to leave my job? And so I was led to, I had a mentor, Patricia Rickman, and she was, a community activist and leader. And she always told me that when my sphere of influence grew and I had the opportunity to help other people, then I would know that I was on the right trail. And so I told Jeff that I needed to the weekend to make a decision. And so I did end up running for city commission. Was not successful in that run and decided that I had started working at the recorder's office. And I decided that I had been involved in labor and working on behalf of workers and employees and working families for a long time. And now it was my opportunity to, for lack of a better word, step on the other side, mm-hmm. and give myself an opportunity to utilize some of the skills that I had obtained as a union representative, as a member of management. I talked a lot and spent a lot of time talking about how, as an employer, you can treat people well, mm-hmm. and still get the best out of them. And I felt like that this was my opportunity, and also to test out. You've been saying a lot of stuff, ma'am. Can you live by that?
Right.
And so I felt like that was my opportunity, and it did increase my sphere of influence and my ability to assist people in a different way.
Right.
And so I said, yes, I would be his chief deputy.
So you were the chief deputy to Brandon McLean, right?
Yes. Yes.
He was the county auditor. I'm the county
You're
auditor.
the county auditor.
He was the county recorder, and you were
Yes.
his chief deputy.
Mm-hmm.
And then he took an opportunity to go work. He was an attorney. He's an attorney as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so he became a magistrate, right?
Right,
over
right.
in Dayton Municipal Court, which opened up the recorder's office, and
Yes.
you have stepped into that role.
Yes. He came to me and he says, well, are you ready? And I'm like, ready for what? Where are we going? What are we doing? What is the program? I'm like, and so that's when he told me that he was, going to accept this opportunity. And was I ready? And, I felt like that I was ready for the position of recorder. As the chief deputy, my responsibility is to make sure that his goals and his objectives as the recorder are implemented in the office. And so, of course, I had the background of what it is that we do, what it is that we wanted to do, the direction that he wanted to take the office. Plus, I was also really good friends with the recorder before Brandon, Willis Blackshear Sr.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I would often find myself anytime I was in the county building coming over to get some knowledge from Willis, because we come in there and sit down, even though there were no represented employees. That's who Willis Sr. was.
He was a sage.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, I had spent a lot of time with Willis Sr. understanding how he served the community. And so for me, it was understanding that big shoes to fill, big responsibility, but I felt like that I was ready. I felt like that I had connection with the community, an understanding of what we do and how we serve, and the expectation of being successful in that space.
Well, that's one of those positions, and this is true of a lot of county government. People don't really understand most of what we do, and you tell people if you're the county sheriff, you say I'm the county sheriff, people understand that.
Get it?
Or they tell you, even if you're the county treasurer, treasurer, money, right?
Taxes.
But people like me as the auditor and the recorder,
Yes.
that doesn't necessarily bring up an image for the people of what that means. So tell us a little bit about what does the recorder do?
So the recorder's office is responsible for the recording, maintaining, and now protecting more than ever all documents related to property in Montgomery County. So your deeds, your mortgages, any type of liens on properties, all of those documents are going to be recorded in our office. We actually record over 100 different documents that people would say, really, if you have a power of attorney, that
not
gets
just
recorded.
A place to record a deed, right?
Exactly. It's so many other things. And so, that is part of what I feel like my responsibility is, to educate people as to what it is that we do. Because I feel like that we connect with the community as elected officials, but we also want to connect the community with the services that are provided. And so helping people understand that. We are also responsible for the Veterans ID program and the recording of DD-214s for our veterans. And so,
the DD-214
is the discharge papers for our veterans. And so it's a safe place where the DD-214 gets recorded. The family doesn't have to look for it. And attached to that recording is a veteran's ID card that the veteran has that shows the number of their recorded document, as well as allows them different benefits and discounts throughout the community. They just have to show their veteran's ID. And that's one of the programs that we, I consider them to be our flagship program in our office that we are responsible for.
Okay. So one of the things that has become an important issue that you've grabbed by the tail and continue to shake, right?
Yes.
Is this issue of deed fraud. And we've had a number of incidents of that, and it's become a topic that it gets talked more and more about it, and you have taken this on as a mission, as a calling, So talk about the what you're doing to try to fight against deed fraud.
So deed fraud is something that isn't new our fraud alert notification system was created in 2018 by our former recorder, Brandon McClain, because it had started to become an issue. When I became the chief deputy, I was probably talking to maybe 2 or 3 people a month. Mm-hmm. I am talking to 2 or 3 people a week. And a few Thursdays ago, it was 4 people in one day.
Wow.
Because it's like anything where somebody sees an end, then, they're going to jump on it and run with it. And so I believe that is what happened. People started to see, oh, this is pretty easy, or this is, nobody's watching. I'm not going to say it's easy, but nobody's watching. And so I started to see it more. And we're trying to register people, as the auditor, that our cash transactions in this county are jumping because investment property is big.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I was at a group last week where I told them, the cash transactions on real estate, 30 to 40% of the sales that we're seeing are all cash.
Yes. And so that to me opens up the door for people to say, okay, this is quick money maker. Mm-hmm. And so as I started to look at this, I was saying, what is it that we can do to be proactive? How can we help people understand this is a real thing? Because if you steal my car, I walk out the house and my car isn't there. Mm-hmm. How do you help people understand that you can steal my house? And so it was more of a thing for educating people to me, making sure people know that we have this fraud alert notification system, making sure that we, under the laws that exist now, what we can do as the auditor's office and the recorder's office when dealing with these documents. And so how can we be proactive? You heard my career. I've worked and I've gone to school, and one of the reasons that I believe that I'm so passionate about it is because working for working families, as well as myself working and going to school and, taking a job that paid less than the job and, experiencing financial issues where everything that you have, you work so hard for. You work hard to get it. You work hard to keep it. And so I watch people in these situations, and then for somebody to say, oh, there's a house, I'm going to steal it. It just bothers me because I know how hard people in our community have worked to get and keep what they have.
Your home is for most people is the largest investment they'll ever have. It's a form of wealth. It's the only form of the major
form of wealth. Property is literally everything.
Right.
And everything else we buy generally decreases in value. Property is the one thing that generally goes up. And so
I can attest to that.
Yes, absolutely. And so just trying to figure out how we can position people to be proactive and get them signed up. I think I heard you say in one of your presentations that we have like 250,000 parcels here in Montgomery County. And at the time, when I really started looking into this as I became the recorder, we had 13,000 people in the fraud alert notification system. And so it was like, how do we help people understand that this is and wrap your mind around somebody stealing your home?
Right. Well, I can tell you this. This was past year was the year where we updated property values, and so we've been going around doing a lot of community forums and workshops, and we have started. We've got a slide in our presentation now about the fraud alert program and deed fraud and passing out your brochures and things at our workshops now. Because like you said, people just don't know, and they don't know how easy it is to sign up and how important that is. It's a free service.
Yes.
It's a free service. And so I think it's wonderful that you're doing that and you're so passionate about it. And we just need to keep working at it.
Yes.
I mean, that's a step. And I know you are busy and others are busy. My people in my office are brainstorming. What more can we do? What more can we do? And we're going to work on that.
Yes, we absolutely are. We've talked about it, and it is about, I think a lot of people don't understand that the burden that the statute places the burden to check these documents really on the notary. Mm-hmm. So if the document has all of the pertinent information when it comes into your office or my office, and it's been properly notarized, then it's like, your hands are tied.
Right.
And so it is difficult. It is a difficult problem. But as you stated, brainstorming, we are now looking at notaries, being more proactive, checking notaries, and informing the customer that the notary is not a valid notary now. I had documents that came in actually last week. I had 2 documents come in where the grantors were deceased, and they were notarized the 15th of March, and the people passed away a long time ago. Right. And so I am referring those notaries to our prosecutor's office, and we are together referring them to the Secretary of State, because those notaries are showing up on deeds where the person couldn't have possibly signed the document. And so just we're being more proactive, both of our offices, in looking at this, but also talking to our state reps saying, hey, this is where we are. This is what we're looking at. Obviously, when the statute was written and people were looking at this was not a problem. Most things where, we're behind the 8 ball because people who want to make a quick buck, or people who are looking at an easy way, to even transfer property that could be a family property. Helping people understand that it's still illegal. You cannot do that. There is a way. And so it is about educating and looking at all the ways that together we can be proactive in stopping this.
It kind of reminds me of the time when we were dealing with the skimmers on gas pumps.
Yes.
It's an easy thing, an easy buck for someone, and no one's watching, and so when we started watching, I kind of feel like it's kind of a similar situation.
Yes.
And people don't realize too, this is one, protecting people's property. The boundaries and the property lines and the legal documents is one of the signature primary functions of county government. Sometimes we get lost in some things, but that is really what we're all about, the very basics of county government. So I appreciate the work you're doing here with this. Let's talk about the Good Deed program for just a few minutes.
So the Good Deeds program, one of the things that I saw as I was looking at the deed fraud, I think a lot of people think we're talking about vacant properties, and a lot of the properties are. Oftentimes people think it's just the city of Dayton. Well, there's a higher concentration of properties there.
Sure.
So you're going to find more properties that are susceptible to theft. But what I also found was a lot of our vacant properties are properties that were never properly transferred through probate court. And so when you look at a lot of vacant properties or properties where they have what are called tangled and twisted titles, and so someone is living in them, but they don't own that home because it was never transferred, it made me start thinking, how can we expose and inform people about the importance of transferring the deed and the option of what is called a transfer on death designation affidavit. Whatever room I'm in and I bring that up, most people have never heard of that. And we pretty much have a segment of population who either has an estate or wills, and they're protected, or we have a segment of population who's unprotected and have no idea what we're talking about. And so my goal is to talk to those people who have no idea. They may have one home, maybe 2 homes, and a car, both of which can be transferred, or all of which can be transferred without going through probate court if they have the necessary documents. Right. And so as I started with the deed fraud, and during the deed fraud, I came up with, I working with the prosecutor, and I'm asking, can I do this? And can I do this? And they're like, no, you can't do this. Well, you might be able to do this. And it was like, no, that's not your lane. No, that's not your lane. Well, they did tell me that providing the affidavit on facts relating to title form when someone's property has been stolen is in my lane.
Sometimes you have to create a new lane, right?
Yes, yes. And so I thought, well, if that form, and what they said was that if it's filed in or recorded in your office, then that is a form that you can provide. And so looking at the Good Deeds program and how we pass down this generational wealth, can I offer this transfer on death form, an affidavit? Yes, they said, oh, that is your lane. I'm like, okay, here we go. And so what I decided was, since there are other county recorders offices that do offer this affidavit the transfer on death designation affidavit, people can come in and get it. And so make that designation that their child or their brother or their sister, whoever their next of kin is is the beneficiary of their property. And so it's a way that we are helping our community have good deeds, so that it is not something that has to sit there and be a vacant property that somebody walks away from, but it is a property that we know is now going to be transferred upon their death to their next of kin. And so that idea of this is a good deed because we're able to pass it down, we're able to direct where it is going, and we're not going to have these vacant properties sitting in our community where you have somebody, I know somebody now who's lived in a property 20 years. It is his grandfather and grandmother's property. He's been told that if he wants to probate the grandfather's estate, it's $2,500. The grandmother's estate, another $2,500. His mom is sick. And if he doesn't get this done before she passes, another $2,500. A transfer on death would have eliminated that for that family. And so now he needs a new roof. Now he needs, things done in the house, and he can't get a loan. He can't get in. He can't get any help. The city of Dayton would give him a grant if it was in his name. They won't. And so how many of those properties can we, moving forward, avoid? I think that we have the ability to change the game when it comes to properties in our county. And I'm working with the Volunteer Lawyers Project because I needed some help.
Sure.
And they are like, yes, we're on board. And so we will be going out into the community doing workshops and positioning people to fill out these forms so that they can protect their property moving forward.
Stacey, I am so impressed. We do this program. Trying to highlight people who are making a difference in the community and programs that are making a difference. You are making a difference.
Thank you.
You are making a difference, and I'm just so proud of you and impressed with you. And so thank you for coming on the program today. We've learned so much about, I'm sure most people say, I didn't even know the county recorder existed.
Right.
We've learned so much today. So thank you so much. My guest today has been Stacey Benson-Taylor, our county recorder, and we appreciate her and the work she's doing. And that will wrap us up for another version, another episode of Odds and Ends. We'll see you next time. Thank you very much.